Is it broadcasting
Good
now?
afternoon. Yeah, it is. Now it is. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Today we have another opportunity to have with us Dr. Muhammad Yahya Hassan. And, once again, a very eager, very learned person who has spent his life towards leadership, education. He's a life coach, and he's giving us an opportunity to learn about the different type of leaderships and to learn about how those leadership skills can be developed. So thank you so much for giving us time and the opportunity to learn from you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Ali. It is a great opportunity to work with you and your team to deliver this message across the globe, and especially in Pakistan and other areas, so that people can actually, and we can learn together. It's a journey, and I'm a lifelong learner and will continue to learn. And I want to say thank you to the users for listening in, and by you listening in, it is actually helping me grow and increase my knowledge. So thank you all.
Thank you. So we'll just do a quick recap of our previous podcasts and quickly go through what actually is leadership, and if it can be developed, it's something natural. And, what's the difference between a leader and a boss in general terms when we call it, because boss is again a leader and leader is again a boss. So if you can, briefly start with those things and then we can grow on top.
All right. So, leadership, when we take a look at the definition of leadership, so by definition, leadership is an ability, and I want to focus on the word ability a little bit more, to influence and guide people and groups towards achieving common goals, right? Now, two words that I want to focus on is ability and achieving common goals. When we say those two things, by just saying ability, it could be ability that is by birth in you, or you develop these abilities, because what you're doing is it involves the leadership involves having a vision, making strategic decisions, you working with other people, collaborating, motivating people, transforming their lives, right? You taking a organization from ground to the sky, right? And again, sky is there is no there. People say sky's the limit. I don't believe that. I don't see sky's the limit. I think the limit is beyond that. And the leader is the one who actually does that. Now, one thing that I would respectfully disagree with you: boss may not be the leader, and leader may not be the boss, right? The reason I say it is a person who is in your organization could be a leader and have great leadership abilities, but not hold the title of a supervisor. They may lead the people, they may inspire the people, they may guide your vision as a supervisor of an area and let your company be better because they have leadership abilities, because they are not hungry for uh, for this title. And leaders usually are not looking for those titles. Leadership, the person who is leader by birth and have these abilities, they actually show these abilities by the work that they're doing. And that makes it very easy for them to kind of understand that, hey, I'm not really looking for special appreciation. This is what I am. This is who I am. I'm going to keep doing it. And uh, so abilities can be developed. Some people have abilities by birth. But when you are developing these abilities, you have to have a mentor. You have to have a person. So let's say if you believe that you are a leader, or if you even don't believe you are a leader, you want to learn about it, you should get a mentor and you should follow that mentor and learn these abilities that you can actually develop. Now, what do I need? What do you need for developing those abilities? Is first of all, you need to be accountable. You need to have done your own assessment of who you are, and you need to be very critical about it. A leader is always looking at what they are doing in order to improve themselves. They take the feedback very carefully, and they use that feedback as a platform to build on it. So anybody who is even a born leader or who wants to be a leader, they need to be accountable. They need to make sure they're doing their assessment very critically. They need to be great at communication. But in communication, we look at different things. We look at listening and delivering. Communication. So listening part has to be very critical. A person who wants to be a leader, they have to pay attention to and learn about communication, especially the listening skills. When I'm talking about listening skills, I'm talking about listening in order for you to enhance your future or future for the company, so that you can. The next part is influence. So ability to influence and inspire people. When I talk to young adults or or students in school, I talk about communication. When you meet someone, you need to leave an impression on them so that once you're away from them, they know that, this person talked to them. Now, that doesn't mean that it has to be in a community. You have to be a community leader, or you have to be a manager, or you have to be in a team. You're placing an order at Starbucks, or you're placing an order at Dunkin' Donut, or you're placing an order at Pizza Hut, whatever. You're talking to a person. You need to connect with them by placing an order. You're paying them. It puts you at a different level. You are paying someone is working for you. That should not change your brain. You should be still empathetic. You should influence them by the conversation that you have. So once you leave, that person remembers you for the next time. That person says, you know what, I met this person who was very kind and empathetic. And the last thing that I'm looking at as a pyramid. So I started from the bottom and going all to the top is the vision. Once you have those abilities that we talked about earlier, you need to have a clear vision. And a leader could be a football and soccer player. Once Ronaldo or Messi are on the field, they are really the leaders in the field. They're making decisions to not just win for them or make a goal for them. They're actually doing it for leading the team towards the win. And we need to have vision. We need to have a plan of I'm going to take the ball from one place and make sure it goes into the goal.
Okay, great. When we talk about leadership, uh, a person should take it more like an authority or a responsibility.
It is a responsibility. Leadership is a responsibility. Even if you're born with this responsibility, this nature of you being leader, you are responsible. What does that mean? Uh, you're walking on the street and suddenly you see yourself in a place where there are cars coming, and you are a young child, you're 11, 12-year old, you have seven other students or your friends with you. Now you are telling them, hey, please stop, there are cars coming. I'm going to go through this lane or this area, please follow my lead. Or you're climbing up the mountain. You're the first person climbing up. You're making the path for other people. You're guiding them. It is a responsibility because you are the first person who is feeling in charge. And actually, if you are a young adult and you are listening to it, or you're a young person who's listening to it, if your nature is guiding people, that means you're born with this ability to lead, and this is a huge responsibility. I'm a practicing Muslim, and I believe in what has given to us through Islam. When our after Prophet Muhammad, there were four leaders that we say Khulafa Rashidin, who actually led Islam in the next era, next time. When they led with responsibility. For example, Hazrat Abu Bakr, he was the leader after Prophet. He used to do business, right? So you still, after being the leader after Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he used to go out and sell, right? Then he was told not to sell, because if you are selling, no one else, people will not buy from other people other than you because you are the leader, right?
Right. Right.
Right. So he left that business.
Yes.
Now, as a leader, we need to understand that these decisions could impact you financially, but it's not about you, it's about the team that you're leading, right? So when he left it, he knew that he's gonna not gonna have money coming in from there, that his business, but he
Mhm.
still left it because he's now leading a nation. Now, as you become that leader, you have to change. Every office has different responsibility. Me, I can say certain things in my private life when I'm not a leader, but once I become a leader, my life is not anymore that private. My words matter. If I become a governor, if somebody become a governor, somebody becomes a president, it is the responsibility of the office that they have to hold.
Right. What's the difference between what would say a leader and a coach? Pretty much coach does the same thing.
So, there is this is interesting you mentioned, and the funny part is we didn't even talk about these questions, right? So there I was reading a book a few days ago. It was talking about coaching leadership.
Right.
So this author is talking about leaders as a coach,
Hmm.
rather than being authoritative or autocratic leaders. They are coaching people. They are letting people know that, hey, you know what? I'm gonna help you guide. I'm gonna help you be better. Now, it is very personal. It helps you. It's driven by data, but also by feedback. It helps you be better. But when you are, so this could be very helpful, this coaching leadership. But when you are leading a company, there are certain rules and policies and guidelines that you must follow. Therefore, the leadership cannot only be coaching leadership. So, coach, yes, they have same responsibilities. The leaders have same responsibilities as coach, but I would say coach has only one responsibility, and that is to guide you in the right direction. They're
Right.
not going to tell you that, hey, you are keep coming in late 5 times.
Hmm.
Now there is going to be a reaction to it. There is going to be something that's going to happen to you because you keep coming late.
Right.
Coach can tell you that you are coming in late. For example, I'll give you an example. At work, there was a person who was keep coming in late every day. I'm like, let's have a conversation. Why are you coming in late? Oh, there's a lot of traffic. Okay, great. Could you leave 5 minutes early? Yes, I can. They left 5 minutes early or 10 minutes early. Didn't work out. Still coming in late. I said, what's happening? Oh, still. I said, let's talk about it. Let's change your time, right? Instead of you coming at 9 o'clock, you either come at 10 o'clock or you come at 7:30 a.m., right? And we changed the timing to 7:30. They started coming in on time, right?
Hmm.
So leaders, coach can tell you, and this is kind of an ability, right? As a leader, I had to make that decision that we either change the timing for you, but as a coach, I could have said, hey, you know what? You can take this path or you can take that path. Let's work on you individually. But here, I'm not just saying individually, yes, I want them to do better, but as a leader, you have to follow the guideline of the company that you're working with.
Good. Good. Okay, now we go towards the topic of the day, which is the leadership in the time of crisis. Uh, let's define crisis first. What is crisis? Is this an accident? Is it something natural? What happens? Natural disasters? This is what we call crisis, or something urgent at work. You already have some task in hand, and you have more task which is coming in. So, how do you define crisis for a particular person, for a common person like me?
Sure. So I'll work with you. I'll give you the definition of crisis, and then we'll talk about leadership, and then we also will talk about types of crisis. So the crisis, when we talk about crisis, they are disruptive events that could be unexpected, and that could be series of events that impact an individual, organization, an institute, or a society, or a city, or a state, or a country. Crisis. are, again, as I said, it could be unexpected or sometimes they are expected. When I talk about expected means natural crisis, right? So these days data is there, then we know that there is flooding is going to happen, or there's going to be a rainstorm, or there's going to be a tornado. That is a natural crisis, but we are kind of aware of it that it is going to happen. Some of the technical crises we know that because there is a event that has happened and it is going to cause a technical crisis. Internet might be down for a certain period. You know, when you get at home an event where it says, "Hey, internet is going to be down." Now, think about this: if my internet is down, or a person who does a full-time job of managing stocks, right? Now, for them, internet going down, even if they know about it, it's a crisis because now they have to figure out what to do, right? So this is, again, it could be unexpected, or it could be expected. Also, this crisis usually comes with very, very less information that you have on the topic or on the event. Uh, Crisis by default um, impact your emotions, and sometimes they are high stakes. For example, if you have natural crisis, we had Sandy in New Jersey. Everybody had heard about COVID, right? We had COVID crisis. We had multiple other crises that happened. All of those crises, they cause disruption in normal behaviors. For example, we had this event where whatchamacall, this there was what was those forgot his name, George Floyd.
Mhm.
When George Floyd protests happened,
Mhm.
recently we had a Gaza protest happen. Now
Right.
events are actually causing disruption. They are in some cases damaging reputation, individuals' reputation or an organization's reputation. They endanger people and resources. For example, there was a storm that came in Puerto Rico that is still impacting them today. Um,
Mhm.
and then as this like when it impacts them for so long, we are saying it's a long-term instability or uncertainty that they have. So now, so this as a leader, we are looking at it. Is it impacting your operation? Is it damaging your reputation? It is endangering your people and resources. And is it going to be a long-term problem, or it will cause instability? Now, as a leader, we'll discuss how it impacts, but types of crisis when we look at, we already talked about natural crisis, technical crisis, organizational crisis, um, social crisis, reputational crisis is an important one these days because you're on social media and then your reputation could be broken in very quickly, and regular accidental crises that can happen, that can cause problems. For example, you heard of a blast that happened in Iranian area, port or something. They had a blast a few days ago. There was Japan had a problem where uh, their um, uh, their atomic plant um,
Gas leakage, something.
there was a leakage there. So, right, these crises happen,
Mhm.
and this is an accident happens that can do it. Technical crisis, we are looking at cyber attacks, looking at other issues that are happening, and then there are intentional crises that are being caused these days by terrorists. For example, there's a shooter in the school. We have a lot of issues in United States. There's shooters or there's gang violence that is causing disruption. Again, whenever you're again, there are multiple types of crisis, but whenever you're looking at a crisis, you look at if it disrupts your operations, if it disrupts your reputation, endanger people, or if it is causing problem for short term or long term, it will define a crisis.
How important it is for a leader to understand the crisis and take action accordingly. A good leader, in other words, I would say a good leader is a person who stays calm and thinks about it, takes his time, and then takes action. Or a good leader is the one who quickly takes action, just assess the situations, and 1, 2, 3, we need to do it. He would not listen to you. He would just give you command, and he wants to get things done.
So all of the above, but it all depends on the situation. So
Mhm,
crises usually demand immediate attention and decision making.
mhm,
It tests the leader under pressure.
mhm,
For example, during pandemic, Michael Fauci, the Dr. Fauci was on the stage.
mhm,
Questions are being asked.
mhm,
He has to make a decision. Either he can tell the truth or he can talk about something else. He decided to tell the truth, right?
mhm,
Or whatever the truth that he feels it, or we feel that it is a truth.
mhm,
This is important to understand. For example, today we have issues where, or not today, but we talked about what's his name, George Floyd's at time, right?
right.
when when George Floyd protest was happening in 2020, killing of George Floyd, it was a huge protest in the United States. It was racial justice issues and police reform. Now, what was other leaders doing, right? If you
Mhm,
look at the universities, and there were many public agencies that were responding by changing policies. They were doing listening sessions. They were talking. They were really committed to provide diversity and equity and inclusive events on campus. They were looking at organizational charts. Now, all of these things, they are reactive uh, situations by a leader, right?
mhm,
But when somebody's on the spot, like Michael Fauci, he was there. His name is Fauci, right? Dr. Fauci. I forgot his first
mhm,
name. Anthony Fauci, not Michael Fauci. Anthony Fauci.
mhm,
So he was there. He was on the stage. He was being asked questions. For example, when Governor of California, Governor of New Jersey is being asked questions. When China closed their country for many weeks, right? All of these decisions, there are either it, at some point you have to take them right away, and there are certain points that you are taking them later on to change the policies. So both ways, as I said, all of the above, but it's situations depend and timing depends.
Well, okay. How important is for a leader to be empathetic, to show empathy in a situation where more than one person is involved into a crisis? If it's a one person, yes, I can understand. But let's say a national disaster is there, wildfire, the way it happens. So, in US it had happened. And it was not an hour thing, it was not a day thing. It really spread it into days, right? So with that, what happens is that your losses are a lot more than one individual person's loss. So at that time, what sort of a leadership skills do we need, either to show, decision making, as you said, quick decision making is required, but at the same time, I think empathy is more required for those kind of crises.
Yeah, so empathy, in order to be empathetic, you have to understand, and everybody has to be empathetic. Um, we are in an era where we have to be empathetic. Doesn't matter what level you are, what kind of leader you are. In order to be a good leader, you have to be empathetic. The reason I say it, because I'll go back to our basics of a leader, where communication comes in a key role, right? As a leader, you have to be able to listen to the person, listen to the people, one
Mhm.
person or many people. Now, your job gets difficult when you are talking about many people, right? For example, today when we look at it and we see that today our education secretary is pushing, or it has been pushed for a very long time about private school or charter school or school privatization and moving your funding from public schools to around there. Now, it is a very important decision as a group, as a school leader or as a leader that what do I do? What do I stand with? Do I understand? You see, now you are a little confused. Now you're saying, okay, it makes sense that our schools should have, everybody should have ability to go to any school. School could be private because public schools are really bad. My child should be able to go to private school. But is it about me or is it about society? Yes, it might be good for me to go to a private school, but it may reduce the chances of another student to go to a private school or to go to any school because the public school funding will not be there, right? So decisions have to be very carefully made. That's why being empathetic is important and listening is important and understanding the event that is happening around us is important. I'll give you another example here is my organization where I work at Kean University, and I'm very proud of that place. And there's a reasoning behind it. When this Trump organization made some changes, um, our president could have made a decision saying, "Hey, I am not going to change certain policies. I'm going to, I made them. I like what I made, and I'm going to stand by them."
Right.
Right? Or he could have said that he did say that we're going to change few things. We're not going to change who we are, but we are going to change few things
Hmm.
so that we are abiding by law,
Right.
that law of the country, right? Now, if he would have gone with option A, standing by his ego,
Hmm.
he students would have lost. They would have lost financial aid. They would have lost. It would have been their loss. But he did not talk about his ego. He gave up his ego and he said, you know what? I am standing by my students. What is beneficial for them?
Worth it. Yeah.
And that leadership, he did not just say, okay, you know what? I'm going to make this decision and that's it. No, he talked to people about it. He called it a family time. And I really liked it because now you're talking to people, you're listening to them.
Hmm.
Now, when you go and talk about different leadership styles, and that's why I'm a person who does not care about one leadership style because your leadership style needs to change and adapt to the situation, but the basic leadership qualities should not go away from you. So be empathetic, be a good active listener, understand situations, but when you are moving from one state to another where you are changing, so let's say if I'm at home and I'm a father, I am talking about, so before I get becoming a father, when I'm single, no kids, I'm making decisions for myself. Okay.
Right.
It does not matter to me what happens to anybody. When I become a family, now I'm taking care of, have kids, two kids, wife. I'm making a decision for four. Let's say I become a mayor, I'm making a decision for city. Let's say become a governor, now I'm making a decision for state. Become a president, now I'm making a decision for the country. Everything has their own responsibility. When you change your position, you have to understand that empathy, the topic empathy, you still are empathetic, but you're listening in different ways. When you are listening to four people, you can hear them, you can understand them. When you go to a city, you cannot really listen to them directly from every person. That's where you need to start being data driven. That's where you need to understand that it is important to understand and collect data and listen through data and to different data the touch points, and you have to create those touch points. For example, if you are at a city, you are really mayor of a city, you're saying, hey, you know what, how am I going to listen to every single person? Maybe you want to have surveys, maybe you want to have a little boxes where people can just quickly comment, not physical paper I'm talking about all digitization here, quickly send a survey out there and have a qualitative analysis of that survey done so that you can actually understand what are people looking for. And keeping people aware of what is happening is also part of the empathetic nature from one person to a bigger organization or country. It is empathy should be the core.
What's the difference now when we're talking about crisis particularly uh, between a leader who takes a popular decision or a leader who takes a decision which is required even though if it's not popular? Maybe he would not be that much popular after taking that decision, but that decision needs to be made. And
Right.
a person or a leader who like right away you said, you gave an example about your institution, a leader who sticks to what he said and refuses to change, or a leader who is very adaptive and embraces the change and takes the necessary action which is required to get to where he wants to be.
I think it is more important to take a decision that is required for the betterment of whatever he's leader of. For example, during Sandy, President Obama came to New Jersey and met a person who hated him the most, Governor Christie, right? That was important to do. He didn't have to come, but he came because he wanted to make sure that there is something good happening, and he supported and he said good things are happening in New Jersey, and he supported the governor at that time during that time of crisis. Now, during pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, there are certain things that, again, I'm not going to make it political, but the political decisions that were done or made at that time just because of an ego of one person or two people could actually impact the whole nation, right? When do you take certain decisions? Some decisions are very tough. You could lose your presidency or governorship or being mayor, but you have to make that decision for the betterment of your country, your state, your city, or your organization. It is, leadership is like is tough. Like you want to be, and I'll give you another example of this one might be, if people from Pakistan are listening to me, they might be, I might be in trouble saying it. uh, for example, Imran Khan, right? He's in jail, and it's very tough to talk about him, right? But think about this, that the things that he said, he could have changed the way that he said it, right?
Mhm.
He didn't have to be that crazy egoistic, right?
Mhm.
The things that he said were right. We all believe that there is a bigger power who manages the country other than
Mhm.
prime minister or president, right?
Mhm.
But he could have changed the way that he speak. That's why communication is very key. Yes, you have to be an active listener, and you have to make the decisions that are right for the organization, country or city or state or whatever. But also you have to choose your words carefully. You need to make that decision, it. But the way that you choose your words is careful. I have learned it over time. As a father, as a husband, right? The words that I choose are are have to be careful. You know, I can talk to my wife in a certain way that could ignite a fight, or I choose my words carefully um, to make sure that that fight doesn't happen. So leaders have to be careful how they choose. Certain decisions have to be made, but how you make those certain decisions have to be done very carefully.
It's all about communication, and that's the key word which I picked today from you. How important it is for a leader, especially in the time of crisis, to speak the truth or to keep everybody calm and get them together or keep everything in order, not to tell the truth. I would not
Okay,
say lie, not to tell the truth.
right. So it's a very, very blurry line. right? As a leader, you have to be very careful because let's say there's a fire and 1,000 people are in a very closed area and there's a fire, and I suddenly say fire, people are going to be running around and there are going to be more deaths than that
Mhm.
little fire may
Oh, yeah.
cause, right? So as a leader, you have to understand, and that's why this leader are very critical because leaders are the one who are understanding that is it okay for me to hide this from people? For example, if a category 5 storm is coming
Mhm.
and I say, you know what, let me play it down, or COVID-19 is happening and I'm playing it down.
Mm.
Oh no, it's okay. It's gonna be okay. I don't want to get people nervous. That's wrong because you have time to plan for it.
Sure.
Category Storm 5 is coming. You can actually evacuate people. You can do certain things. But then on another side, for example, you are in an organization where there is there's what you may call uh, cyber crime, cyber
Mhm.
attack.
Mhm.
Now, cyber attack has happened. You know that cyber attack has happened. You know what is going on. Your team is working to fix it. You don't need to get people panic. You need
Right.
to tell them, give them a full plan that, hey, yes, something happened. We are working towards it. You don't have to give every single detail that this person came in, we lost $100,000 or whatever, $1 million or $100 million. No, you don't have to give those details. You can say, okay, you know what? Attack happened. We managed it. This is the time that we will be out of it. Right? So you are telling people you are being transparent, but you're making sure people are not being panicked about it.
True. Uh, at what given time a leader should think, or let's say if I'm looking at a person as a leader, right? And I do realize after a certain time that the leader, uh, you know, because every leader is a human and everybody has pros and cons, everybody has weaknesses and strengths. But he's a good leader or she's a good leader, not in the time of crisis. And at the time of crisis, the person cannot lead, or the person cannot handle the pressure, or they are not able to make the right decision. If ever that happens, and people tell a leader to step down, right? So how a good leader would react to it? First of all, would they acknowledge that these are the things he cannot or she cannot handle? But they will improve and stay steady on the same course, be a leader. Or they should say, okay, you know what, let me just quickly step down. These are the things I need to work on. And they need to find a replacement of that person and move on.
Good. So first, yes, as you know, that when we were talking about abilities, assessment was the important part that we talked about. People, leaders should be able to assess themselves
Mhm.
clearly, and they should know what they're good at, what they're not, where do they need to step down, and when to step down. Let me talk about if a person is not good during crisis. I don't know if they are a good leader or not. A good leader should be able to control themselves and manage and do things even during crisis. If they are not able to manage it, I don't know if they are a full leader or not, or if they have leadership abilities or not, or they may need more coaching or they may need to learn more. Because a
Mhm.
leader needs to be calm
Mhm.
uh, when the crisis happen. They need to control themselves because what they are looking at crisis here, and then they're looking at their team. They are protectors. Like I will call leaders as protectors of their team. As leadership is a responsibility, we talked about it. They need to protect what's coming to, they are like ozone layer for us, for the humans, right? So they need to protect. If they cannot be protective, they cannot be leaders. Now, certain things can happen. A good leader may have problems. For example, physical problems. They may
Mhm.
be sick. Their health might not be in the same situation.
Mhm.
As you mentioned, we are humans. Maybe that person didn't sleep for 5 nights, right? Now, as a leader, you cannot say, "Oh, I made this decision because I didn't sleep for 5 nights." As a leader, you gonna say that it was my fault that I did not sleep for 5 nights and I was not able to make that right decision, I'm gonna step down. That's okay. But saying, oh, I could have made a right decision if I didn't sleep, but I'm still a good leader, so I'm going to continue. That's wrong because you are
Right.
not a good leader because you didn't acknowledge that you needed to sleep. Your body needs sleep. You need rest. You need to make sure that you time management, you have to figure it out. You're a leader, right? So in order to be a leader, you have to be able to manage in crisis. But if you are at a stage where your health is deteriorating, you cannot manage, you should be able to say, you know what? I need to prioritize my health. As a leader, I'm going to step down and I'm going to do the right thing.
Okay. In today's world, we have different sort of leaderships. We have civil leaderships, we have military leaderships, we have political leaderships, then we have small associations, and, different clubs and schools. Uh, when a person is growing, let's say a person from a college age, you know, what would you say for a person who feels a person in himself that he could be a good leader, for a person to be groomed as a good leader, to become a good leader? What path should he take? What suggestions you would give that person to be good in crisis, to be good in planning, could be good in listening, very empathetic, a popular leader, a good leader.
So that's so in order for let me break it down in a couple of pieces. There are many things happening in this, right?
Yeah.
So yes, we have multiple leadership areas. But leadership itself is an institute of its own,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
I'm if I'm a leader, I'm a leader. Doesn't matter where I'm a leader of. Like you don't like as a leader, you can run anything because you will be able to learn. As a leader, you don't need to be good at medicine to run a hospital, right?
mm-hmm,
As a leader, you don't need to be good at politics to run the country.
mm-hmm,
You need to be a good leader.
mm-hmm,
Good leader will understand that what do I need to be successful? What do I need for this country to be successful? What do I need to be good at make sure this my military is good, right?
mm-hmm,
You know, everyone has their own specialty. A leader usually hire a person, a specialist for that area. For example, a country president, they may not be good at finances, but they will hire a secretary of finance that is the best finance manager on this earth.
mm-hmm,
They might not be good in military, but they will hire the general that is best in managing military. Their job is not to manage military. Their job is not to manage finances. Their job is to manage and make sure the country is doing good.
mm-hmm,
If you are president of a university, you don't need to be good at everything. You need to be good at the leadership. You need to make sure that people are calm. See the vision. As a leader, as I said when I talked about the pyramid, the top part was vision. You need to be the vision. You need to be the eyes who can see things differently. And usually leaders should be the one who can roll up their sleeves and get to work, but also they are the one who's sitting up on top and looking at things that people are not. Therefore, sometimes they make decisions that the person who's on the boots on the ground may not understand that decision, right? There was a movie where they kept their people on the horses, the fighters on the horses. I forgot what they call them. They kept them on the side of the mountain, and they sent all of their army on the ground first. And when not all, some of the people, and when they died, other people thought that they won. So they
mm-hmm,
sent the rest of the army more closer. Then these archers sends these arrows on the flame behind them. What happened is now they are caught. All the armies here. They cannot go back. More army cannot come. Now they're caught in the middle. So now they send these people on this horses and they kill them all. Now the first people who went, They must be thinking that, you know what is this guy doing? This army leader, they're gonna kill us. But it was not about them. It was about winning the whole war. Yes, the little incident happened and they all died. That person who is dying at that moment, they were thinking, "Oh my God, this is the worst decision by this military leader." A
Mhm.
military leader did not look at that incident alone. They looked at the win, how that win is going to come. So I hope that answered the question.
Yes, it is indeed. So now we have different type of leaders, and different type of crisis that we have walked into. Uh, one leader could be good at one thing, and it's all about the person who is leading the team, for them to understand actually what they are going through. Uh, how important it is for a leader in the time of crisis, especially to let's say, I just asked you this question a little earlier, to listen to people, to make a decision, to make an unpopular decision. A leadership, a leader takes a decision in the time of crisis, which he thinks or she thinks is correct, and it's in the time needed at that particular time. But because of that particular decision the person has taken, the popularity has gone down, or maybe that decision was taken to save lives, but legally, that person can be really come into crisis. So, is it important for a leader to look at the legalities, to look at the correct path, or nurture what is required at that particular time of crisis?
Uh, Good question. So as we mentioned earlier, when the crisis happened, usually you don't have enough data. You don't have complete data. COVID-19 started, we didn't know where COVID-19 is going to go. I remember when the first deaths happened in November of 2019 in China. We were here in US and I was like, oh, you know what? I think this is gonna go big and we're gonna have more than 100 people die, right?
Mm, mm,
The data wasn't there. That we were like, I'm in a local person sitting in my room saying, hey, 100 people are gonna die. It's really gonna be going big. It's gonna be a big problem, this COVID-19. You see, my mindset was not there where it went, this pandemic went.
sure,
For a city or for a state, for an organization, they never knew that they will have to work for years or for months from home.
absolutely, yeah,
The countries were not ready to be working from home. The data wasn't there. The organization that they made a decision that, hey, I'm going to send you home, they didn't say that, they didn't think that they have infrastructure to send them home or not.
sure.
Their companies are going to work or not.
Mhm.
So the data is not there. So sometimes decisions are made in crisis to prevent what they see through the data at that time,
Right,
right? That's why these decisions have to be very data driven. But when the crises are happening, for let's say if there's a storm coming and it's 5 days away, you can make that decision. But if you know that it's happening within an hour and it's a category 5 storm, you're going to make certain decisions that, hey, you know what? Nobody's going to evacuate because if you evacuate right now, more people will die, right?
sure, sure,
A month ago, you knew it, you're telling people to evacuate, but if it's happening right now, like within minutes, you're saying, hey, go to your bunkers, go somewhere else. It's going to happen. Just protect yourself right now. Don't be on the road, right? So your decision changes by the data that you have. And if a leader makes the decision that was not the right decision, because you're human, you are going to make decisions that are not right because you're not perfect.
right.
That's okay. And I think the people who are followers, they will be forgiving.
Hmm.
They should be forgiving because their leader made a decision that was not the right decision at that point based on the data that decision maker had. Now, if you talk about politics, sometimes these decisions take you down and you don't have followers. You are leader, but you have politically liked person, right?
Sure,
You were liked person. That's why you were chosen.
sure,
People did not really follow you as a leader. This is the time when you're going to make a decision. people will not follow you anymore. Why? Because you were not leader for them. You were
Right.
just a right person, a political figure that they trusted at that point with your speeches, with the things that you said. And that's why you will see the political figures that you see, they go down, they go up very quickly, go down very quickly. Reason behind is nobody has really seen their worth. They haven't seen the leadership abilities in them. But on the other side, if you see CEOs of the companies, sometimes they are chosen because they have shown their worth and they have followers. And when they make a decision, people follow them. People don't, even if it's a wrong decision, they follow them. They say, okay, you know what? He made a wrong decision, but he will come back.
So, well, let's say at the end, if you want to put it in a nutshell, first of all, if you can give us some examples of the good leaders in the time of crisis, and give us some suggestions, or give us a criteria for leaders or non-leaders as well, how to handle crisis and how to overcome the problem.
I mean, one example is I give earlier that Christie did a job on Sandy, and President Obama came and told him that he's doing a great job. That's a good leadership that's happening. Also, leadership is not biased. Leadership is not about or your ideas should not be like, hey, you know what? For example, Florida governor doesn't matter, Republican or whatever. If he does a good job, or if let's say Trump does a good job at some point, I will be the first person to say, hey, this person is doing a good job.
Mm.
That's what followers should be doing. If their leaders are doing a good job or they're doing a bad job, it should be reflective. It should be we should be able to correct it, right? We should be able to say it easily that this person is doing this. Now, I gave you already one example. Give you an example of Anthony Fauci, who made a right decision. Doesn't matter where he will be liked or he will have a job or not. Decisions of policy making after George Floyd's incidents, how the policies change in different institutions, um, how we are seeing things change in the United States, where people are backing the killing in Gaza. Killing doesn't matter where does it happen, in Israel or in Gaza, or in California or in Pakistan or India. It doesn't matter where it happens. Killing is killing, right? So now a decision that is being made to support them by institutions in different areas, that have to be done carefully, and we as leaders, people have to make those policy changes carefully, because now it is going to show you over the future what's going to happen. The executive orders that we see for Trump's government at this time, that we are looking at tariff war as a crisis at this time, right? How leaders of different companies are reacting to it, it is crucial. And some of the for example, again, not to say good or bad, when Trump put 134, 145% tariff on China, Chinese government did not respond. Was their leadership, right? Good or bad, doesn't matter. Was their leadership style. And then President Trump has given up on certain things. So leadership, when you make a decision for the people of your country or your state or your city or your organization, for them as a good empathetic leader, or a good charismatic leader, or whatever the leader, as a leader, once you make that decision, because the focus was your people, focus was the strength of organization, you will be successful. Even if you fail, even if you don't have people who are not liking you anymore, because you made that right decision for your people. So I hope I answered.
Yep. No. One thing which I asked you about, if you can give some tips or a structure to follow, how to be a good leader, especially in the time of crisis.
In the time of crisis, first of all, you need to first take care of your health.
Mm.
This is the most important part. When I say it, it is very important. Earlier, I mentioned it. You didn't sleep for 5 nights and you made a bad decision. That is on you.
Mhm.
That you made a decision. So if your well-being, your complete well-being, that means physical and mental health is important. So you need to take care of yourself first of all, during the crisis, you need to put your brain and your physical health as priority because it's not about you, it's about the people that you're making a decision for. Second, you have to be very calm. You have to you have to understand how brain works, right? And that could be a different topic, and I'm not the brain scientist, but the studies show, when you are mad or when you are under pressure, you don't make the right decisions. So learning an ability, this is a very, very strong ability. Doesn't matter what comes your way, you are calm. And I am pretty bad at it. I don't stay calm when bad things happen, right? I'm learning today actively that how to stay calm when bad things happen.
Mhm.
Crisis happens at home, crisis happen in an organization, city, state, or a country. How do you stay calm? This is an exercise, and I have found that exercise through meditation. My meditation is my prayer. I pray 5 times as a practicing Muslim, and also I find peace in a reading Quran. So that is an exercise that I'm doing to prepare myself um, for that moment of crisis when they come to you. How to stay calm and humble and on ground when this happens. So it is important for everyone because you don't know when that crisis is going to happen. So I would say, as a leader, you need to start practicing for that moment today. How to keep yourself calm, how to keep your heart rate slow down. There's the Hulk movie. Have you watched that Hulk movie where this guy who becomes Hulk, I forgot the actor's name, he practices his breathing exercises, right? So that he doesn't become Hulk. So you need to practicing those. Find a way to keep yourself calm. Physical education, physical workout, or you need therapy, or you need to do this meditations. Whatever you do, prepare for yourself because you need to be calm at that moment. The next is get the data, and this is very important. Get the data from the right people immediately. For example, these days we are hearing a lot about this is what Trump is doing, this executive order is doing this, and a lot of people, even some leaders that I know, they are making decisions based on the news that they are hearing, based on TikToks or based on Instagrams and Facebooks. This is the worst thing that you can do to yourself. The data has to come from the right source. For example, and news is not the right source. For example, somebody says this executive order says this.
Mhm.
I, you need to go read that executive order. You need to assign someone to read that particular executive order and give you the summary of that executive order or what you need to know in that executive order. You cannot just say, oh, yeah, if CNN said this executive order, I'm going to believe it, right? Or Fox said this, or MSNBC said this. No, that doesn't happen. You need to read that executive order. You need to look at if there's a storm coming, you need to collect the data. You cannot say, oh, yeah, weather.com said this. No, find the right person to get that data, right? Or Microsoft stock is going to go down, so I'm going to buy this. No, no, read through it, right? It is important to get the data. Or if you are at an organization, for example, you're a president of a university, you want to assign your people to do certain gathering of the data. What your financial aid is going to be, how is it going to be impacted, how much money is going to be being cut through federal aid, how it is going to impact your resources. You need to assign people to get that data, and this is happening live, active, right? And also, you need to understand what people. So you are talking about the incident, the crisis, right? And yourself. This third part, an important part, it is your people, where they are and what they are feeling. And a lot of times, a lot of leaders forget about this. And I'm telling you, I learn all the time, and I've learned that from my leader. What is happening on the ground? You need to know about it. Because if you don't, yes, you need to know what the crisis and what the problems are, what COVID-19 is saying, what Sandy is saying, what Irene storm is saying, but also what your people are feeling. How are they reacting to it? Because they are also in crisis mode. You as a leader may have understanding of leadership and you may manage that crisis differently, but your people may not have it. And that goes for your family too. As a leader, you are understanding you have financial crisis, but does your family understand it? Does your wife understand it? Your kids understand it? And what are they thinking? They may not understand and grab fully, but according to their understanding, what you need to do, it is important. So from your family to a country, all about listening, staying calm, and protecting yourself from any harm, mentally or physically.
Great words. Great words. Thank you. Thank you so much again for the time. I know the time flies when we are in a
Right.
conversation. But we do have series of these podcasts, especially about the leadership coming in. And I think not next weekend, but the weekend from the weekend after, we have almost every other weekend. And we do really again appreciate the time you give us and your value, the feedbacks, and uh, the way you coach us, the way you tell us the couple of things. So a common person like me, a normal person like me can understand. So once again, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll see you very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so